I want this life, but am I ready for what comes with that life? I got into corporate. People that didn't play sports were very, if you talk to most people, right, really start to realize that, oh, they probably aren't giving themselves enough credit. What's up, Inspire More Life fam? This is Josh Dillingham, host of the Playing Injured podcast. Excited to share some value today. Excited to have some fun with my man Jonathan.
We have Josh Dillingham here today, the host of Playing Injured on the Inspire More Life podcast. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Josh has like 140 episodes out. The Playing Injured podcast is going crazy. Every time you bring a guest on, I'm like, man, like, I want that guest on my podcast too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's super dope.
I think the journey started back in 2020 for me, actually. Obviously, the pandemic was going on. There was a lot that was happening. And, you know, I had a mentor of mine. He said, hey, you need to start a podcast. You know, right now is the biggest time to start building a brand for yourself. And so me, start a podcast, what? That was kind of my mindset. And then just step by step, started to figure it out. And over time, I got really excited about it. I started to form a passion around it. And then I realized that I had a natural curiosity, right? I really enjoyed asking questions and learning. It came really easy. I didn't have to force it. And so some of my early episodes, I started to get feedback of like people saying like, whoa, this is actually good. Like, keep going, right? And so we started off with athletes that I played with. We started off with kind of athletes that, you know, I had a history with. And a lot of those early episodes never came out because I just didn't, I wasn't feeling it, or I felt like my friends weren't really taking me seriously. And so when the pandemic hit, it was a lot of people who had speaking engagements that got canceled. So we had some really big heavy hitters in my first 20 episodes, right?
I got you.
And so from then on out, I just got really kind of addicted to the conversations, the learning that I had. And every time I got behind a mic, it just felt like time would go by super fast. And it just came really easy. I feel like I'm just getting started, honestly. I think this year is about kind of letting go and like just surrendering to the love of it. I think in the past, I was like, oh, I need to get this guest. This guest needs to have this many followers. Now it's just been about letting go and just having really dope conversations, really dope content. And this year the numbers have looked really good, especially audio. And so with the audio looking good, it's like, okay, let's start to go into the game that I know I'm uncomfortable with. I'm uncomfortable with the social media game, with the video game, right? And so that's kind of the next step. We've crushed the audio game. The audio game has been great. But how can we make it a more well-rounded podcast?
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to dive in when it comes to your story. First of all, you're a student athlete.
Yeah.
You went to college.
I was an athlete student.
You were a student athlete or athlete student.
Yeah.
You went to college. I'd love for you to speak on that too. But you went to
Yeah.
college as an athlete.
Yeah.
Got your degree. Ended up becoming a creator. Ended up leveraging corporate as well. And so there's a lot of little nuggets. There's a lot of big nuggets in there to be able to extract and talk about. I want to talk about your student athlete experience and where the name Playing Injured came from.
Yeah, so the mentor who told me to start a podcast, his name is Mason. He actually played college soccer. I played college basketball. And we always talked about this concept of playing injured as athletes. Very rarely, and you know this, competing, very rarely when you competed were you 100% healthy. Most of the time, something was happening, right?
Yeah.
Ankle, knee, hamstring, quad, shoulder, elbow. You got a headache. You tired. It was so many things that we pushed through, right? And so that's what playing injured is how can we push through adversity? How can we continue to push through? And so that was something that we kind of came up with, and we wanted to really transcend that to real life. How can folks start to push through in real life situations? And so coming from the sports world to the corporate world, I realized when I got into corporate, people that didn't play sports were very entitled when things didn't go their way, right? And I started to notice how folks weren't used to doing hard things. Folks weren't used to, if things weren't easy or giving to them, they felt like it was unfair.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, wow, this is something that we can start to share with the masses. And the people that resonate with it, they will. And the people that think it's stupid, that's fine too.
So you're in sport and you learn the significance of what it means to play injured.
Yeah.
You take that concept of being in sport, having to always show up and complete an outcome that looks like it's 100%, which is a win or a personal record or something of that nature. But under the surface, you're really playing injured. I just want to even dive into some of the principles of playing injured.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if it doesn't have to do with injuries just physically, talk to me about the mental a little bit. So there's physical injuries, there's like even mental things that we have to work through in terms of playing injured. How vast did that concept go?
Yeah, I think it's super vast, first of all, right? I think my history of what I learned when it's come to the mindset about playing injured has grown so much, right? So when I first got into it, it was about like, let me push through, right? Then it became, okay, I had a very, big mentor of mine. I actually never got to meet him, but I call him a mentor because I would always listen to his podcast. I read all his books. His name was Trevor Moed. He was a mental conditioning coach for Russell Wilson. And he would talk about staying neutral, right? Not saying negative things out loud, right? Not speaking negative. If you can't be positive, just don't be negative. And being neutral. How do you stay neutral, right? When it comes to basketball, right? You're thinking negative and you're on the free throw line. Okay, hey, bend knees, follow through, right? You're just thinking about the task at hand.
Yep.
Maybe you're at work and you're having a bad day. Okay, how can I just think about the task at hand? What do I need to get done? That's how you can stay neutral. And then, right, as I've continued to grow and learn, and recently this year, it's about understanding that our thoughts aren't necessarily real, right? You'll have these thoughts go across your mind, and you'll realize that, like, I don't need to associate with that thought. I can actually let that thought flow and not listen to it. Right?
Sometimes when you're injured, these thoughts come in like a flood, right? Like the gates open, now you're getting all these thoughts coming in. That could be negative, that could be positive, that you just have a bunch of thoughts coming in. And when you're injured, it feels like you have more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. How do you know which ones to grab to know it's true to your process? How do you know which ones to let go? And like, sometimes we think, okay, because I've seen people play through injury and injuring themselves even worse.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So what does it look like to play through injury and take the things that are telling you be cautious but still move forward in this way rather than re-injuring yourself or injuring yourself worse?
Yeah, and I think it takes some self-awareness.
Okay.
Right? At the end of the day, I also think that you need people around you who are there to give you some accountability, right? I don't think you just do it on your own. And I hope folks, when they hear playing injured, they don't just think we just push through everything, right?
That could be a quick misconception.
Yeah, it could.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just like, hey, we're just hardcore. Really, we're actually very empathetic when it comes to the approach of playing injured, because a lot of times playing injured could be, hey, you not pushing through and you actually sitting down and not doing the thing that you actually want to do, which is try to prove and show your ego to folks. Maybe the hardest thing is for you to actually sit down and do what's best for you, right, and for the team. But when I think about when you talk about pushing through, right, a lot of times folks know the answer when they are being kind of lazy, being fearful of maybe of what other people think, right? I think about, like I just told you, being uncomfortable with social media, right? I could easily just say, I don't want to do that. My attitude towards it can just be me avoiding it versus me actually looking at it in the face and having a great attitude about it, right? And so that's kind of where I'm going is how can you actually understand what it is that your mind is telling you that you are afraid of or worried of and not listen to it, right? These thoughts of what are they going to think of me? What are they going to say about me?
Yeah.
And just letting them flow by. You don't have to identify with it.
And that's what's so powerful about your podcast is that you're
Yeah.
bringing different individuals on that talk about some of those thoughts, that talk about their experiences. What do we expect when listening to Playing Injured, the type of individuals you go through? And what's the similarity that you kind of see when people are talking about playing injured and they're talking about something that continues to attack them?
What I've realized, the common theme is that your highest adversity is what creates you. It is what creates your purpose, story, right?
Yeah.
And so, in every adversity is a seed of greater or equal opportunity to grow in life. And so, the adversities that we face actually end up being our greatest gifts, right? Without it, when you look back on your life, everybody can close their eyes, look back, and see their greatest adversities, some of the worst things they've gone through, right? And it's actually helped them get to where they are today, especially if they looked at it in a better mindset with a greater attitude, right? And saw it as an opportunity that actually ended up propelling them. So for me, right, some of my greatest kind of falls in my career is me getting laid off twice in 8 months, right? And not knowing what to do and actually having to find ways to, one, make money, be resourceful, start the podcast because of that, right? I changed industries because of that. And now I love the trajectory that I'm on and the way I've set my life up versus what it would have been if I didn't get laid off. And so it's like when you're going through the adversity, how can you remember, hey, 5 years from now, when I look back, this is actually going to be a gift and not a curse?
It's like sometimes God wants us to play injured.
Oh, for sure.
God may injure us. Not is this crazy? Is this crazy? God may let us experience an injury to re-navigate us and move us to a different area, to a different position.
It's needed. It has to happen.
To redirect us.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. There's just so much to unpack with Playing Injured that I love. Where are you taking it? Like, I want to get to the vision of what people should be expecting. I want people to subscribe. I love this concept. I played injured all the way through college. I think me playing through injured opened my eyes to so much. Like, one time in my experience, I had like a really bad back injury. I had a back injury for like all through college. I would get like dry needling. I would get therapy. I would be in the doctors. I got MRIs. I got x-rays. And this back thing was a thing. And eventually I got such a bad spasm one year that like it took me out the game like almost completely that season. But eligibility-wise, we didn't want to waste the season, and we had a chance to still go to nationals and do that stuff, right? And so I'm in the trenches with this injury, and I'm playing injured, but I'm finding out things about myself that I would have never found out otherwise. So, for example, one of the things in sport is like you come at us. Did you high jump and did you do track and field?
No.
You didn't do any track and field?
I hooped.
You were a hooper. Yeah. By the way, he was a collegiate basketball player. Yeah, and I was a collegiate track athlete. But in the sport, you have to choose a starting height. And choosing your starting height is like, this is what you get into to be able to warm up, give yourself confidence, and then you can work up to those big heights. I didn't have the luxury playing injured to start coming in at those lower bars anymore. I only had like 2 or 3 jumps under my belt. So instead of coming in at like 6'8", and then it would take like 3 jumps, 3 bars to get to my like starting, I would have to come in at that 3rd, 4th bar, because I only had 2 or 3 jumps in me. So it started, and then I was making those bars. I would come in at 7 feet, and I was making them. So it really, before people were like, if you don't come in starting at 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", and work up to 7 feet, you can't just walk into the meet and jump 7 feet. But guess what? Me playing injured revealed to me that I could walk into a meet and just jump 7 feet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even like a small thing like that gave me, and then how many other areas in your life are you thinking, I need to take this step and this step and this step to get to this, instead of just getting involved, making it happen, and succeeding? Stuff like that is the lessons you learn playing injured.
Yeah, I think it's so many areas. And so you asked, hey, what is the vision? And the vision is to find every subject possible that people play injured in. Like every episode, I realize may not be for everybody. But what I want to do is that when I have an episode, it really affects somebody who's going through that and is looking to make a change. So the episode I just dropped this week was about a lady who's been sober for the last 8 years, and she's a sobriety freedom coach, right? And so we just talked about her journey of sobriety, right? And not everybody can maybe relate to it, but it's concepts and universal successes in every story that folks can pick up. One of the stories, one of the universal things that we talked about was how you're going to face judgment when you do things that are countercultural, right? And so how can you handle when people judge you and ask you questions?
Was that in the conversation?
Yeah, that was in the question, right? Because, you know, if you go to a bar and you don't drink in today's world, people will look at you weird, like, why aren't you drinking, right? And so same thing when you started a podcast, when I started a podcast. Why are you starting a podcast? What is it about? Oh, you starting a podcast? What is it? You know, talking about inspiring people? Oh, okay. So it's like these are universal successes that we can find in every little pocket of playing injured. And so people may not relate to sobriety, but those universal successes, though.
You know what I find so interesting is that when you do things that are against the grain, but still in a positive direction, whatever it is, not drinking, producing a podcast, creating, it's so interesting how many questions start to come.
Yeah.
Like when you take the narrow, straight and narrow path, and everyone no in-depth questions really come. Like, why did you do that? You know, and so I kind of like I like the fact that when you start to change, or when you start to go in a different direction, and it's a direction that's true to you, people start to want to truly get to know your mindset,
100%.
Why you did that, who you are. It's crazy in that nature, right?
Yes. I'm bringing my phone up because it's a quote. I was just reading it this morning. It was the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. So when we conform to everything else, like you said, the straight and narrow path that everybody else is taking, right? You might be afraid to live an authentic life because you feel like people might judge you, people might question you, might look at you differently. And you have to realize that when you are stepping out of line and like really living an authentic life, something that's authentic to you, you already know that you're on the right path, right? Now you should start to question yourself when you look around and you're doing everything that everybody else is doing, right? And you know in your heart you aren't living authentically to how you want to live.
Yeah.
Right?
You give a lot of power to people. Like when I'm hearing you talk, it seems like you feel like everyone has this inner voice or this awareness in their spirit, in their mind, in their heart, in their soul, where it's like a guide. Yeah. Is that true?
100%.
Because I'm hearing that, but a lot, I kind of, not that I'm pessimistic. Y'all know I love y'all. I love the people that's by my life. But I feel like sometimes I don't know if people hear it clearly. Like, I'm like, because people genuinely sometimes just are like so far from awareness that it feels like their internal guide is either off or they don't have it or they just don't know. So like, what's the balance of that? And I know, I'm not for sure, but playing injured, when I used to play injured, and when I am still playing injured, I need a team, but it's actually just easier to explain when you're playing injured on the field. Like when I'm playing injured on the track and field, and I have an injury, I need my trainer, I need my coach, I need to strategize, I need to do all this. So how important is it? Because now we're playing injured, maybe it's not physical, do you need therapists? Do you need certain people, family, friends, support to really speak truth into your life? Like, how can you get clear on that feeling? What does that look like?
I mean, what you need is one, you need to start to let go of kind of what I mentioned before, is like those thoughts of shame, those thoughts of guilt, those thoughts of feeling like you are less than. Everything that everybody has these thoughts of self judgment, self criticism, things they're scared of, things that make them angry, and if they can just let it go, right? And just realize that because you are super familiar with yourself, you see yourself every day, you see all your shortcomings, right? You take yourself for granted. So when you see other people doing things that are special, unique, you think that you aren't as capable as them, but you don't see their shortcomings on a daily basis, right? But you see yours, right? And you think that everybody else is perfect. And so I believe in humanity because I think it's just the fact that we need to let go of these thoughts that we aren't good enough when we really are. We don't need to have all the extracurricular things to try to make us feel like we are more than, right? If you talk to most people, right, and really get to the nitty gritty, you can really start to realize that, oh, they probably aren't giving themselves enough credit. Probably sleeping on themselves, right? And so I don't blame them because we live in a world that capitalizes on kind of creating self-doubt, right? You need to get Ozempic, right? You need to go get the new shoes, the new pants, the Balenciaga bag, the Botox, the hair this way, right? You need to be on social media and you need to have this many followers. You need to have this job. You need to be a content creator and you need to do this and you need to do that. And it's so many things that they make you feel like you need to do to feel worthy. And I feel like the only way you can feel worthy is just kind of just letting go of those thoughts of needing to feel worthy, And so that's why I believe.
Did you go through that experience yourself?
Oh, for sure.
Were you taking on an unauthentic version of yourself that you had to kind of go into this and start to live, like you've lived this out, going from this to this? Because I think that's the hardest part sometimes, is to go and start to be authentic from an unauthentic version and to take and experience all the consequences. It's not going to happen in a day.
No way.
Or you might lose some friends. People might start to get confused on what you're doing and why you're doing it. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, it's the toughest thing you'll ever do is start to live authentically to you because your life does change, right? They talk about how a lot of folks kind of like, when you think about like getting in shape, you realize that you have to let go of the old version of you and start to operate at a higher level. And that is what scares people, right? A lot of people are kind of scared to operate at a higher level when it comes to living truly authentically to them, right? If you think about all the things that you want to do in your life, you realize that, oh, it's going to be some habits I'm going to have to change. Going to be some things I can't do anymore. Maybe it's some friends that I probably can't spend as much time with, right? Maybe I can't be seen at every function, right? And you start to realize that, am I ready for that? Am I actually ready for that? Yeah, I want this life, but am I ready for what comes with that life? What comes with the version of myself that has to live this life?
What do you really sacrifice? Like, what is someone really not willing to? Because when you think about the higher version of yourself, you see the outcomes. It sounds great.
Yeah.
But why are people not willing to sacrifice
it's unfamiliar.
This for this?
They don't know what comes with that. You know what comes with this comfort, right? I know what my weekends are gonna look like. I know what my week is gonna look like. I'm comfortable at this level. Mm-hmm. This is my comfort zone right here. But if I have to operate here, the fruits might look amazing or feel amazing, and you know it's worth it, but you also don't know what comes with it. Or you do know what comes with it, and you're nervous or kind of scared that you won't be able to handle it, right? And so you just stay here. And a lot of people either stay there their whole life or they stay here for longer than they needed to. And for me, right, it's been a long time where I've just operated at a level where I knew, um, I wasn't capable of. And you'll start to have signs where, man, like I feel unfulfilled in these spaces. I feel unfulfilled with these conversations. I feel unfulfilled with my routine and how I'm living. And you need to start to kind of raise the level of your standards when it comes to the habits that you have on a daily basis, right?
Oh, I love that.
And
I love
so
that concept.
with that comes a higher frequency, and people start to not understand how you're living. That also hurts too, right? You start to have friends that you grew up with who continue to live at this level, right? And do the same things. And you are like, I'm ready to grow, but I'm also not ready to let go of these friends that I grew up with, who I know love me, and I know they are loyal, and I know they are fun, and I know they get me, but they probably don't get the version of you that is your highest self. And so it's
That's the
one of
part.
the toughest struggles I think in life is you looking to grow and develop and evolve because you are so scared and attached um, to the version of yourself and everything that comes with what you have today, right? And so I think for me, this year, I can honestly say this year I've really been on it, right?
You've really made that. And I want to say something real quick too. Like
Yeah.
when you say signs and you say frequency, some people go out here.
Yeah.
Like signs and frequency are these abstract things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you're actually talking about awareness. You're talking about awareness in terms of, hey, how are you feeling about where you are in life? Like those are signs within itself. It doesn't have to be this macro concept that's kind of eerie, like airy. You know what I'm saying? Signs could be things that your body, your mind, your heart is telling you, and you just need to listen, and you just need to be connected with that, right?
Yeah.
And then frequency, and you can speak on it too.
Yeah, I would love to.
Frequency is a concept in which you have to be on the same vibe. Like
I feel like you can tell somebody's frequency when you meet them. And
what is frequency? Can you give us a
here's,
definition real quick?
I guess my definition, and to keep it, I guess I want to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I love that.
Is that like you can tell that they are in alignment with how they want to, right? When you meet them, you could just tell they are on it. They look you in the eye. They're confident, and it's not loud. It's not about it being loud or quiet, but it's calm. And it's very comfortable in their skin, and that can either ruffle your feathers, right, or it can make you attracted to them, right? You feel like when you meet somebody, you connect quickly. You guys are on the same frequency, you know. Feel like when you talk to somebody and you guys just can't connect. We just can't. Something is not vibing here, right? The frequency is off, and I think the best thing you can do is start to be around people who operate at a level that you want to operate. They're on that frequency where they are living amazing and they're living in the way you want to live. And it's like, how can I operate at that frequency? Well, you need to get around those people, right? You can't continue to be around these people who operate at a frequency that you don't want to operate at. And so when I think about frequency, I think about levels, right? It's levels. It's like, okay, if I want to be around people who are in amazing shape, eat healthy, that's a different frequency as people who don't eat and live at that level. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong or right. It's just what people value, right? So people, first of all, I love burgers, pizza, and all that. Like I could eat that every day, all day, twice on Sunday. It don't matter, right? But some people just value different things. It's not about wrong or right. It's about what frequency do you want to operate at, and what frequency are you at now, right?
I want to throw a couple scenarios your way.
Yeah,
What if someone meets someone
yeah.
and they feel like I want to be that person, but the frequency's off?
Mm-hmm.
Do they manipulate their frequency to make that relationship work so they can build a relationship with that person, so they can learn from that person, grow with that person, and get to that person's level? Or do they keep their frequency? Like, how do you know when you should change your frequency, or like how can you change your frequency in a short amount of time to match someone else's frequency that you want to connect with, that you feel value, that you're like, man, like I'm disconnected with this person because of me. You get what I'm saying? How can I change? Or do you need to do that in the background and then come so your frequency can attach to the next person? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it'll hit a part of you, right? When you want to operate at that frequency, it'll hit a part of you, your intuition, whatever that is, where you resonate with it, right? If you resonate with somebody when they speak to you, and you're like, wow, that's it right there, or these are the group of people that I want to be around, right? Sometimes you can get in there for a short period of time and you realize like, oh, these people run 6 miles every morning or whatever the case may be, and you like, I can't do that, you know? And so you kind of fall back, or they are just doing things that are at a level that you do want to operate at, but you aren't necessarily ready. And so it becomes not going zero to hero. It becomes, how do you raise your frequency? You raise the level, the standards that you have for your daily habit, right? You know, hey, you start to read every day, right? Now your conversation and the way you speak and the things that you can recall and talk about, it's in your mind because you're educating yourself, right? You know, you're reading, you know, you listening to podcasts, right? You're actually doing the work, you know. We got my man in the back doing all the technical stuff, right?
Shout out to Jeremy.
Shout out to Jeremy. And I'm like, I'm amazed by it, right? And I'm looking at all the things that he's doing, right? But imagine if I was to read up on all that stuff, how deeper of a conversation me and him could have had before we hit record on this podcast, right? We could have went even deeper because I've done some education and different things, right? Me and him, we had a dope conversation because I've been doing some podcasts and stuff, and I'm able to pick his mind and learn from him because I've done some type of work. Now imagine if I had never done any podcast stuff. Me and him wouldn't be able to have a conversation. We just would have been like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, you know?
That's a great point. There's two aspects of that you mentioned, right? When you read, it gives you the ability to connect with people because it gives you a diverse, vast amount of information to pull on to have conversation. And you need information to have conversation.
You know what else? Travel. What I love about you is that you go out and you travel. And when you travel, you're able to talk more about traveling, what that looks like, right? Me, hey, I did my first kind of solo trip in Mexico City earlier this year. That opened up my level of things that I could talk about and relate to and open up, right? I'm learning, right? And I think the best way to kind of raise your frequency is to learn, to have healthy habits, right? Start having, you know, going to bed a little earlier, waking up a little earlier, treating yourself better, skincare, hygiene, all that stuff that you know would make you feel better. You start to do it, and then you start to just vibrate differently, right?
I want you to talk on consistency, right? Because even sometimes consistency can be challenging for me based on my schedule, events pushing me to the nighttime. I don't know, you know, trying to wake up early. How can someone stay consistent in a volatile season?
Only one way.
What is it?
Accountability.
Wow. Accountability partner or holding yourself?
Partner. I think you need an accountability partner in, like you said, a volatile season. We both are athletes. If you just did everything by yourself, no coach, no nothing, no teammates, just went to practice every day, what would that feel like? Be like tough, right? Who's going to push you? Who's going to make you push past the limits that your mind has set on you?
Yeah.
Right? Your coach, your teammates. They're going to push you past what you thought you can get to, right? And that comes with it with consistency, right? It's like, hey, I can easily let myself down. Okay, that's easy. Yeah. I can hit the snooze button real easy. Hit it twice, 3 times. Let me get an extra hour in, right? But if I said, Jonathan, I'm gonna meet you at the gym at 5, I'm not gonna be as quick to hit that snooze button. I told Jonathan, yeah, 5. All right, I'm gonna get there. I told Jonathan that I'm gonna shoot him a voice note when I get my reading done, right? When I told my, if you have a bodybuilding coach, I told him I'm gonna shoot a picture of all my meals, so maybe I can't go eat, that small cheval down the street, right? The accountability piece as humans, it's primal. We've always had groups of people that we had to be accountable to, right? It's just how we operate as humans. It's a universal law. I wish it was different, but that's how you can start to stay consistent, right? And maybe eventually you can operate without the accountability partner because it becomes muscle memory, right? Like if you want to get good at, if you want to be consistent with working out, right? Maybe you have an accountability for a partner for 1 year, 2 years, and then eventually it becomes muscle memory. Right?
And maybe you need accountability partner in some other aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right.
In
So
every aspect.
The accountability partner might shift, and it might be someone else. It might be for a different
might be for
area
finances,
of life, but
finances, right? For me, I know it's like, hey, my financial advisor. Every time I know I'm going to have a 6-month review. I'm like, okay, maybe I can't spend this the way I want to spend it. Okay, maybe I've created a budget that I need to stay accountable to, right? And so you got to have an accountability partner when it comes to consistency. Don't try to do it by yourself. I think that's what people try to do. They try to just do it on their own and realize that just doing it alone is just not the answer. You need people to help you stay consistent.
I think that's so important. We have to have people in our lives. We have people here. We were created to connect. And one thing that we don't keep into account when connecting is that accountability is one of those reasons why people are in our lives, why you need people in your life. So many people want to isolate themselves these days.
Right.
And it's like, and they might say they're introverted or they just don't connect with people like that, or they just don't have, they might look at you, Josh, like, hey, I'm not you. I can't connect with people. I can't build a relationship. But it doesn't take like 20, 30, 40, 100 people. It takes 1, 2, 3 people to hold you accountable. My question is this, right? For those people, and even maybe people who are extroverted that have people in their lives, but they're not accountability people. They have 100 people in their lives, but they can't choose one to hold them accountable. Or you have the people who feel like they can't connect. They can't find an accountability partner. They just don't have enough people in their lives to be able to lean on like that. What is your thoughts on how to find an accountability partner?
I think you have to go seek them out, okay? You have to go seek them out. Like for me, right? I didn't have anybody to kind of create a budget for me and have I had to go pay a financial advisor, right? I had to go, maybe you pay for a trainer. Maybe you pay for a communication coach or a podcasting coach, right? He holding me accountable with the mic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We do player coaching if you're ever interested.
Content
and
Club
that's what
Chicago
I'm saying.
getting us right.
So maybe you have to go pay somebody. How serious do you want it? How much do you want it? Can you afford it in your budget to go pay somebody, right? Maybe you go find, you just go to a group, right? Hey, you go to a run club. I'm not talking about the run club that's social. You go to a real run club where you guys are looking to push the pace, and you start to operate with people who are holding you accountable because that's their regular behavior. Your desired behavior is their regular behavior, right? If you can get behind those folks, that's when you start to really, first of all, like I said earlier, raise your frequency, raise the vibrations that you carry, but also too, you start to have some built-in accountability there. So I say, one, pay folks. You got to pay them, right? Two, can you find a group of people whose regular behavior is your desired behavior?
And then where does the accountability come from? Like, let's say you join that group.
Yeah.
Because I like to get into the details. I don't think some people get into the details. So I love this. First of all, paying for something, it's like pay to play, or it sounds so, you don't understand it until you're in it and you start realizing like, oh yeah, like I need to play to this level, so I need this access. I need this accountability. So you do have to pay to get yourself to certain levels. For sure.
Think about it like this, Jonathan. How many things are you paying for already?
Talking about subscriptions, anything like memberships, things of that nature.
And how many of those things are actually investments into you?
Oh, got you.
Right? If you're not making any investments into you, then you're telling yourself that you don't believe that you can create something of significance, right? You don't invest into things that you don't believe in, right? If I told you, Jonathan, we about to go buy some lottery tickets at the gas station down the street, I need you to, put $300 down. But no, I'm good. But if I said, Jonathan, I put my, That's So Raven glasses on, and I'm able to see the future. And Jonathan, I can see that we about to win. We about to win the mega ball. Are you gonna put the 300 down?
300.
You're gonna put the 3,000. I mean, the 300 down easy, right?
100%.
Because you believe that the outcome is gonna be amazing. And so, the greatest investment you can ever put money into is yourself. Your mental health, your physical health, financial health, relational health, your skill sets, right?
Can you spend too much money on yourself?
I mean, yeah, if you're going broke, right? If you're gonna go broke doing it.
But some people say if you have that last $1,000, pour it all into yourself, though. Is that true?
Think about it like this, Jonathan. How much money have you spent on alcohol, partying? How much money have you spent on yourself to move your life forward?
You asked me that first.
I'm not asking you. I'm just asking rhetorically.
In general,
I'm just asking rhetorically, right?
I do see that though, especially in big cities, though, right? Like I'm like,
you put money into haircut, you put money into getting your nails done, you get money into your clothes, right? You put money into all these external things, which I believe that you should do, right? Now, don't do it to the point where you are looking to kind of hide your insecurities or whatever the case may be. But I do think that your image, how you look, is extremely important. But also, too, are you putting money behind growing yourself, your communication skills, right? Are you putting money down to grow in your mental health, right? Are you putting money down to grow in your financial health, like I mentioned? What about physical, right? Are you actually investing in getting some real quality food to eat? Or are you saying, that's too expensive, I'm just going to get the Hostess cakes and the snacks and all that stuff? It's like, hey, let's actually invest into ourselves. We're the biggest investment we can ever make, right? Not all the external things that we see. We think about stocks. We think about NFTs. We think about crypto. But you haven't put any money into yourself yet of growing the current skill sets of what you're doing, right?
I like to think of us like a business sometimes, too.
We are a business.
Right.
We are. I mean, if you think about it like, man, if I don't put any money, I put money into editors, right, for the podcast. I put money into the hosting site.
You got your marketing team.
Everything.
You
got to put money into it to make it go. And so why wouldn't you do that for yourself too, right? I think when it comes to creating a life that you really value and a life where you want to live in accordance to your value, you should put money into it. So whatever you value most, right? For somebody, an investment might be, you know, some amazing video games, right? That makes them extremely happy, and that's what they value most, and so you invest into that, right? For me, it's about kind of those 5 areas that I've already mentioned, and investing money into those, putting some money behind it, right? So it can grow.
Someone doesn't have money.
Yeah.
How much should they be doing things, or what is that concept of doing things that's not authentic to you?
When you say no money, what do you mean by that?
$0 in the bank account. Maybe they just got their first couple hundred, or
Do
maybe
they go out?
Maybe they're bill by bill, pay by.
Do
Maybe
they go
they
out?
don't. Maybe they don't.
They don't go out.
Maybe they just literally just have not a high paying job.
Okay.
Their expenses a little maybe too high. Not because they're reckless, just because
Do they eat out?
their environment. Maybe they do eat out, but maybe they can save a little bit there.
Yeah.
So the question is, where in the, first of all, you're answering in a way, right? What areas in your life can you start to get some of that back? If you're not, because most likely we aren't doing everything 100% right, right? But my question is, what should you do for work? What should you do for a job? I see you leveraging corporate. Do you have to love your job, even though it's unauthentic to you, to be able to get to a point where you can start to be authentic? How would you speak into that?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, because I think that I've had seasons of not liking my job, loving it, not liking it, loving it. And then I realized, right, you're there for a reason, right? And if you're going to go into the job, you should have an amazing attitude about it. You should have a lot of gratitude, have one. And you should understand in what I've realized, and this concept actually comes from a professor. His name is Cal Newport. He has a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And the concept is about how passion comes from within. You can actually develop passion by becoming really good at something, right? And so passion, I think people just try to find it. I'm going to find my passion. I'm going to find my passion. But really, passion takes work. It comes from effort. It comes from putting time into it. I can tell you right now, I'm a lot more passionate about podcasting than when I first started. And so for me, even in my corporate career, right, what I've realized is that when you get really good at something, you start to develop a passion behind it, right? That brick by brick, developing yourself, growing, developing, growing, and then seeing results, fruits of your labor, you start to develop a passion behind it, right? You can ask any doctor, right? I don't think, maybe they had I want to be a doctor. I enjoy, kind of helping people, but they start to develop a passion behind all the hours that they studied and the time it took for them to get there, right? And not saying that you want to do it for the rest of your life. Like for me, I don't necessarily want to be in the corporate world for the rest of my life, but while I'm here, when I go into that 9-to-5 job, my energy and my attitude is amazing. And I'm grateful for it. And I have passion from within. I'm not looking for something external to bring passion to me. The passion is already inside how I operate. I wake up in the morning, I'm passionate about life, and it's just going to come out with whatever I do. And so, yeah, I have an ideal lifestyle that I want to live, and I don't think that the corporate world will allow me to live life on my own terms the way I want to. But while I'm there, I'm definitely going to operate in a way that I'm passionate about it, because I think that it's developed and it comes from within, not externally coming inside.
I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick.
I would love that.
I love what you're saying, and I think it's so true, right? Because even with track and field, I thought football was gonna be my angle, and then I went the route of track and field. We can talk about that another time. But then it became a passion to a degree, but it still didn't become the passion. I had to align with, saying, hey, after the 2021 Olympic trials, I'm ready to pursue a different path that I feel more passionate about. My question to you is, what if you spend all that energy and time and the passion actually doesn't come? You're in your job, you're doing it great, but you're in it for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. And you're like, man, I should have did something else. We hear that story a lot. We hear a lot of people showing up for their job, for their work, for their craft, and realizing, man, I wish I took a different path. So is passion a little bit of a calling that you then dive into and get better at? Or is it just choosing something and becoming good at it and passion comes on the back end? Is there another component there of your formula that's needed to make sure that you are connected and aligned at the end of the day, whether this is 5, 10, or 20 years later?
Yeah, well, and because I love that, because I do think that you hear a lot of people who have stories about, man, I wish I had done that. You also hear stories about people who did follow their passion, right? But the passion didn't create a lifestyle that they were passionate about.
So lifestyle is an important
component
to think about.
I mean, let's say if you really fought hard and you loved, being a musician, and you fought all these years and you're passionate about it and you're really good at it, but the life that you've created is not what you're passionate about, then how will you start to feel about your passion? Yeah.
You start to resent it a little bit. Like if you got married to someone and they took you away from, this sounds terrible, but they took you away from everything you wanted to pursue in this life, you can accept it, but I feel like a lot of people get bitter in their relationships with their spouse because they took them away from their passion. Yeah. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, this could sound crazy. Y'all let me know if this is an accurate concept, but sometimes your wife could be your passion and you committed to it, and your passion took you away from a life you wanted to live. And is there a balance there of finding the passion and the life, making sure those connect?
100%.
Finding the wife and the life,
but also too, Jonathan,
what does that look like?
Don't you think like you could also have multiple passions?
Trying to give me the multiple wives?
No, I'm just
kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, I do hear what you're saying.
You can have multiple passions.
Yeah.
Not only could you have multiple passions, you can also have something that you're really passionate about and then not have passion for it anymore. I mean, you see artists, musicians all the time who their number one passion was music, and then you hear them towards the end of the career and they're like, hey, I'm just not passionate about it anymore. I'm looking for that next thing.
I got you. My analogy no longer
But
fits.
I understood the analogy. I understood.
As we continue this conversation, my analogy no longer, people are like, man, wife, and then sometimes you get, no. Yeah. Now we're going on a different, and that's why I feel like some things you could understand some analogies to a certain degree, but as we go further into this concept, we get further away from that, and now we need another analogy.
But also
too, but I just wanted to make
but that I mean, Jonathan, also too, like what I said is like, passion comes from within, but also too, I think more important than trying to find your passion is living a life that's authentic to you, right? And how do you do that? You start to first understand, what do you value most in life? What are your values? And how can you develop a lifestyle that helps you live in alignment with those values, right? And that may not be your quote unquote passion that will give you that lifestyle, right? Let's say if you are passionate about being a doctor, but you also are passionate about being around family and not going into the hospital on Christmas Day or New Year's or your kid's birthday. And you want to be at all the basketball games, but you're in surgery all the time or whatever the case may be. Yes, you have a passion, but you may not be in alignment with
The position,
your values and the way you want to live your life.
Yeah. But also the position you can change. Because the passion can fit into a lot of different positions that could open up opportunities for you to align with your values. That's kind of what I'm hearing as well.
Yeah. It's a very nuanced conversation because I think it's so many people that have followed a passion as well.
Yeah.
And you can find countless stories of people following their passions and developing, some amazing things in life. But I think the person who created the street light probably wasn't passionate about creating a street light. He just, he had an interest and developed and grew
and a lot of this functional. And a lot of this comes from like our experiences, right? Like the person who created a street light could have experienced something tragic, or maybe not that tragic, but just uncomfortable from not having the street light there.
Right.
And that's from their lived experience. I want to say this because we're closing up here, and I want to be able to ask you a couple questions before we close out. But this has been an amazing conversation.
100%.
And I think living authentically to yourself is the way to be able to enjoyably play injured in a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I do hear you say
like,
that.
as you pursue playing injured and you're not living authentic to yourself, those are two negatives, right? You're playing injured and you're not authentic to yourself. That's going to be a bad time. But when you're playing injured and you're authentic to yourself, it's like being committed to a why that you can commit to, right? When you're going through something hard, but you have a why, you have a purpose, you have something grounding you, you can be able to still go through that over or and despite of the adversities or the objections or the obstacles, right? And so I just want to say, I appreciate you, brother, hosting the Playing Injured podcast. What's your Instagram? Would you have a Twitter? Like, where can they view YouTube? Like, where can they find you? Where can they tap into this? I know you have 140 episodes out, and you're going to have more guests on. I want them to be tapped into the guests you bring on because everyone's story is so different. And I tell I tell my audience the same thing that you're going to tell your audience, right? Or my audience is probably your audience too, to be honest with you. But it's more of just like saying, hey, you may not relate with me, but you're going to relate with someone on this podcast. Where can they find you?
First of all, what you said, I have never heard. In my 140 episodes, I haven't heard that yet. Playing injured authentically versus playing injured unauthentically, right? And how you will enjoy it. Or you will find a way to play injured when you're doing things that you're in alignment with. So kudos to you.
I appreciate you.
I'm going to use that. But yeah, you can find us Playing Injured on Spotify, Apple, Playing Injured podcast specifically on YouTube. You can follow the podcast at Playing Injured on Instagram. I believe it's Playing Injured on TikTok. It might be Playing Injured podcast on TikTok. We'll put that in the footnotes. What else? YouTube, Playing Injured podcast. That's where we're gonna blow up. YouTube Shorts, all that stuff. We're really excited about the content that we got. The content that we're putting out every week. New episode on YouTube. New episode on Spotify, Apple. You'll see reels throughout the week of just folks who you may not know, but you will resonate with the conversations that we're having. It's been an amazing journey, and we're gonna keep it going.
I'll close it out with two questions.
Let's do it.
Where should we expect 10 years from now? Like anything that you just want to get into or do? Do we expect the podcast to go global? Do we expect you to travel? Like anything that comes to mind. We just want to know what to like get excited for in the future for playing for you personally.
I feel like I'm just getting started. Like I feel like I'm just like scratching the surface after 140 episodes, right? And I've probably done like 200 episodes because 50 of them probably haven't came out,
Yeah.
Especially in those early days. But I've done a lot of reps, and I still like I'm just starting because I haven't opened up fully, right, in terms of what it can be. But, in the next 10 years, obviously it's depending on how the world is going to go. But, I'm going to be talking to some of the biggest minds in the world. You know, and I probably here in the next few years or so, you'll start to see more solo podcasts, me bringing up different subjects that I have, that I want to go through, things on my heart. But we'll definitely travel. We'll definitely have a production, and I envision, having a production team and paying folks and traveling and setting things up. I've been doing everything on my own.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know I know it's a step of, hey, starting to bring people on step by step. Like I said, I got an editor now, and we talk, a few times a week. So I'm excited about where we're going. And, they say most podcasts stop after 7 episodes.
I remember you telling me that. So when I got to 7, I was like celebrating a little bit because I was like, I wanted to get over that hump.
Yeah, right. You can feel how, like, oh, this does take some work. Oh, to be consistent, right? And, like I said, it's an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Right? For me, especially when it comes to putting these episodes out, my accountability partner is my editor. He's hitting me up, hey, next episode.
That's a great point, too. People who are expecting you to pay them, or people whose income is dependent on your creation, that is a great point as well.
Next episode. Hey, he texts me. He's like, hey, brother, next episode. Hey, payment, invoice.
I love that. My second question is this. What does Inspire More Life mean to you? When you hear that concept, when you hear the podcast title, you hear the brand, what does Inspire More Life mean to you?
For me, when I think about Inspire More Life, I always think about myself being a young, short, fat boy, in my hometown, and just struggling with, low confidence, low self-esteem, not really feeling worthy. And I think about how other folks might feel like that. Other folks might feel unworthy. Other folks feel like they need somebody to speak life into them, be kind of that espresso shot in their life. And that's exactly how I want to live my life. I want to be a light. So when I think about Inspire More Life, I think about being a light in people's lives and making them like themselves more.
That's one of my favorite responses.
Yeah.
I love that. Can you look into the camera real quick and give someone who's in the journey, who's pursuing, who's going against the adversity, the challenges, they want to continue on their Inspire More Life journey. They want to continue playing injured to reach their highest version, the highest version of themselves. Can you give them the message real quick?
Let go of the thoughts that are holding you back. All those thoughts, all those negative thoughts that creep in, right? I want you to start to listen to them and throw them away. I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I don't have the time. They don't like me. I'm not good enough. Did I say that already? Probably.
Needs to be said twice. Needs to be said twice.
All those thoughts that you have, let them go. They're not real. They're not you. It's your mind, right? And one thing I've learned kind of in these last 6 months or so, I've really been diving deep into this, is just that our mind, its survival mechanism is to worry. That's how we survived in, our primal times and those ancestral years. It was worry, right? And so our minds and our brains still operate like that today. And so our mind will tell us things that aren't even our authentic thoughts. They're not our thoughts. And so I just want you to let them go.
Yeah.
Let them pass. Just do the action.
I appreciate you.
My dog.
I appreciate you. This was a great conversation. Tune in to Playing Injured for more conversations like this, learning how to be more authentic to yourself, hearing different people's stories, And you're going to honestly find something similar in the Inspire More Life podcast. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. This is the Inspire More Life podcast. Thank you, Josh Dillingham. I appreciate you.